It's the Broad Podcaster with Art Dlugach, Jennifer Fierro here in the Highland Lakes. And yeah, that guy right there in the Llano shirt, that is Art Dlugach, the voice of the Yellow Jackets. We want to do segment number 3 with the heavy dose of Major League Baseball for those of you who love the Yankees like this guy or who love to hate the Yankees. I personally love the Yankees. Don't know that I love them as much as you do, though, Art.
Big fan, have been since the days of Derek Jeter, about halfway through his career, early 2000s, 2005 or so or whatever. Got a bunch of his cards. Anyway, today I'm a big fan of Aaron Judge, who has 30 home runs, one game past the halfway point. So he's on pace to tie or beat Babe Ruth's 60 in 1927 and Roger Maris's 61 in 1961. And of course, then the somewhat steroid-tainted careers of guys like Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Barry Bonds would hit at 73, and that is still the record. So you have to go with that. Judge is not going to hit 73, not this year, but 30 through 82 games is great. The Yankees are 59 and 23, best record in baseball. But with the second best record are the Houston Astros, 53 and 28. They are 13 games ahead of Seattle in the American League West. The Yankees lead by 14 over the Red Sox. And you know what? It's gotten to the point that nobody will catch either one of those teams for their division championships. And if they do, I'll say I was wrong in several months or so. Want to mention Jordan Alvarez of the Astros with 25 home runs, batting .313, and has 58 RBIs, just a second-year man, rookie of the year last year, and he played at Round Rock, and I got to see him play one game, but he didn't get any base hits. I want to mention the Texas Rangers. They are 6 below 500, and for the Rangers, that is a good record. They have not been that close to 500 this late in a long time, so I wish them well. And a final comment about the Astros. You know, those Houston fans suffered through a worse than miserable National Basketball Association season. I think Houston won 20 games out of 82. So I know they're happy to have the Astros doing so well.
Yeah.
And hopefully for them, the University of Houston does well when it officially joins to play in the Big 12.
You and I have a dear friend, Rudy Davalos, who used to be the athletic director at the University of Houston. I remember asking him what compelled him to take the job at the University of New Mexico. It was a lateral move to be their athletic director. And he said one of the reasons was because he wanted to go to a place like Albuquerque where the only sports team in town were the Lobos. Whereas in Houston, you have the Astros, you have the Oilers at that time, you have the Rockets. And the Cougars, no matter the season, were always going to be playing second fiddle to whichever pro sport was in season at that time. So, yeah, here's hoping that Houston does really well. I know that you're a Big 12 guy. It would certainly help the Big 12 if the Cougars do well in all sports.
And I'll mention just a point about Rudy, also maybe the first athletic director at UTSA.
Yes, he was. He was. Great. Rudy is a great guy. He's done phenomenal work in sports administration in the sports world. He coached at one time, but he was an outstanding athletic director, has made some tremendous friends, a lot of friends whose names we would recognize, the average sports fan would, but that's really a conversation for Rudy to have himself. At any rate.
A wonderful wife, Gail.
Gail, yes, she is. Does a lot of work in the nonprofit world and education as well. Let's go back to Major League Baseball for a minute. Explain to me the playoffs. How does a Major League Baseball team make the playoffs?
Well, the lowest make it by being wild cards.
Okay,
so there's 2 wild cards in each league. They play each other one game, which I don't approve of. I think it should be 3 out of 5. But the Monday after the season's over, they play one game. The team with the better record gets to host. Then they go into the real playoffs, I would call them, and it's 3 out of 5 in this first round of 3. And 3 out of 5, I think, is ridiculous. It should be 4 out of 7. The winner of that division series goes to the league championship series, which finally is 4 out of 7. And then the World Series is 4 out of 7. Baseball is played so much on a level playing field that the lesser teams can sneak up and win a championship. The Atlanta Braves last year, a losing record at the All-Star break, and they are the reigning series champions.
Over the Astros last year. Okay, so if the season ended today, the Yankees would get a bye and the Astros would have to play a first-round play-in game?
Oh, no. The wild cards come from teams that are not the division winners.
Okay.
So the Astros are safe. They could be second and third in the same division, or they could be 2 seconds from one division and another.
Okay, meaning for the wild card.
Right.
Okay, all right. And there are 4 divisions in baseball?
No, there's 6, 3 in each league.
Okay, all right. So the wild card winners, the 2 wild card winners, then play the number 1 seeds in.
Exactly.
Okay.
She learned so fast, and she knows so much more than me that this is a great day for me. You should record and say, put your DVR on for this podcast.
Okay, all right, and that's what I could not get in my mind. Trying to figure that out with baseball. You don't like the playing game. How do you feel about the playing game for the NCAA tournament?
No, I don't mind that wild card. You mean I don't
Yes,
mind it. I
yes.
just think it ought to be 2 out of 3 instead of 1 game. The first 4 in the NCAA, it's fine with me. They can put in all the teams they want to, and that's why they put so many in baseball, to keep interest in those fans more than just who wins the American League and who wins the National League, which when I was a child, I point to Jennifer, not close to her age, but a lot closer than I am now. Anyway, that's the way it was until this wild card business started and the division era also started. But you had mentioned NCAA. Sure, the first 4 is fine. Do you like that?
I like the one-and-done system because the winner, to me, in a one-and-done system is the team that gets hot at the right time. I think that a series is a better indication of a roster's depth and talent. So in a lot of ways, to me, it's a more legitimate champ. The way when you see a series, that a team has to win a series after series after series, yes, to win a championship. But in terms of pure excitement, the one and done system, there's so much excitement with the one and done. But a lot of times, the team that's not the best in that system may not be the team that wins. It may just be the team that gets hot at the right time. Think UConn that one year that won, 3 or 4 games of the Big East tournament, got the automatic bid, would not have gotten in any other way, and then won 6 consecutive NCAA tournament games to be the champion. Remember that?
And look what North Carolina did. They weren't even ranked until they beat Duke in Mike Krzyzewski's last home game in Cameron Indoor, 94-81, and then all of a sudden they were the darlings, and they wound up getting the NCAA invite, and they go to the finals before they lose to Kansas. I would mention, too, that I agree with you about those series. In the NBA and the National Hockey League, you've got to win 4 out of 7 series. But, of course, they could never do that in college basketball. No. Or in college football.
No, the season's long enough in college basketball,
right,
for sure. And yes, UNC broke my heart, beat my Duke Blue Devils. I'm a big Duke fan. And I think beat your Baylor Bears, right? In the regional final?
Yes. Oh, no, not that late. I remember looking at the bracket, and I saw where North Carolina was seeded 8th, and we played Baylor in the second round. I thought, uh-oh. And sure enough, Baylor made a great comeback down 25, but lost in overtime.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that game. That was a tremendous game.
Yes.
Unfortunately, didn't go your way, but as far as NCAA tournament basketball, one of the all-time best games.
Oh, it's a great tournament. It just is.
Yeah.
Even though it's one and done, and some of the top teams lose early, you come to the Final Four, the Elite Eight, and boy, the elite are still around.
Yeah,
Most
that's
of
true.
them.
That's true. Right now, do the Yankees have enough to win the World Series? Because over there, it's either it's World Series or bust for the Yankees.
Oh,
right?
it definitely is. They haven't won since '09. So sure, they've got enough. But as I mentioned earlier, baseball, another team could get hot, or a pitcher or two could be too much for you. Like the Yankees in the last few games have not been hitting well. Well, it doesn't matter now in a 162 games season, but it's certainly going to hurt in the playoffs. So sometimes the best team doesn't win. That's just what we've got to live with. You've got to have the multiple teams in the playoffs so the fan interest stays alive in more cities.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that when the Yankees had the dynasty, because my father was a big Yankees fan. His hero was Mickey Mantle. That's somebody he looked up to. But back then, they didn't have to win series after series,
No,
right?
it was 8 teams in the American League and the National League. The winner of the 2 leagues met for the October Classic. Now it's the November Classic, I guess. They met 4 out of 7 seasons over. And I never did play hooky from school. I really regret it. But I would come home at lunch. Games were in the day then, and early 1950s. And I'd see an inning or two, and that was all. But too bad. I could see them on the weekends for sure. And the Yankees, I did not like the Yankees then, but they won 1949 through 1953, 5 in a row. Nobody's touched that since, and probably never will.
Yeah, I think free agency has changed a lot of that.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, that's all I've got, and I think we're done for the week.
I am done. I'm so glad people are tuning in and reading Chalk Talk.
TexasChalkTalk.com.
Yes.
Sir. Thanks for the mention. I appreciate it.
Well, I'll give my own plug. Horseshoe Bay Beacon comes out on Thursdays, and usually I have one story a week.
All right. For Art Dlugach, I'm Jennifer Fierro, your broad podcaster here in the Highland Lakes. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.